Well, I've often wondered many times about this President Obama, his support for the overthrow of these foreign regimes. He is the number one biggest supporter of rebels going in and booting out their leaders. Barack Obama is. And I've often wondered, he's the supporter of these Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah and all these people. He's the biggest supporter of these guys, these terrorists essentially, going in and kicking out Bashar Assad, the leader of Syria. Now, are we fans of Assad? No, we're not. Do we agree with the way he runs his country? No, we don't. But at the end of the day, what's going to be in there? Something much worse, I think. We've done some investigation into that, and there are some mean people looking to take over Syria. And yet, Barack Obama, he is in full favor of what these terrorists are doing to their own leaders, to their own country. I mean, let's face it, Assad, he's just trying to defend himself, right? And I've often wondered to myself, I've often wondered out loud, I've often wondered, how would Barack Obama react if there was an attempt to remove him from office? If American citizens rose up in a relatively peaceful manner and attempted to overthrow the Barack Obama cabinet, him and his cronies, get them out of office. If there was an attempt to do that, how would Barack Obama react? Well, it looks like we may get our chance to see how Barack Obama will react very soon here, because we have a very special guest on the show, and I need to, before we bring him on, I'm so honored to have this guy on our show, I can't even tell you. He is saying the same things we've been saying for months here, that something needs to happen. Writers on our staff have been writing to this issue. Now, finally, someone with some credibility is standing up and saying it's time to take action against Barack Obama and his cronies who are destroying the United States of America. And I mean, let's face it, the whole world is in an economic collapse situation right now because Barack Obama is president of the world's number one superpower and the world's number one economy. But before we bring him on, I want to talk to you guys about who this gentleman is. We're talking about Harry G. Riley, Colonel U.S. Army. He retired on the 30th of September. That's an awesome day. That's the day I was born, in case you guys want to send me a birthday present. But he retired in 92, not the year I was born. And his total years of federal service, 34 years plus. So almost 34 and a half years in federal service. All right? His military unit, HHC 704th Military Intelligence Brigade, George G. Meade, Maryland. He graduated from Capon Bridge High School, I hope I'm saying that right, the Capon Bridge, West Virginia, and he received his BA in political science with a minor in education, teaching certification from Park College, Parkville, Missouri, and continued, so he continued graduate work with the University of Oklahoma in international relations. Now, here is his military service. This is very impressive, folks. Just bear with me here. He's a graduate of the Department of Defense Junior Officer Cryptologic Career Program and the Army Command and General Staff College. Colonel Riley was commissioned a second lieutenant, military intelligence, in 1966 through Infantry Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, Georgia. Prior to commissioning, he served 8 years as an enlisted soldier in various military intelligence assignments, entering OCS as a non-commissioned officer. He was promoted to colonel on May 1st, 1989. His assignments include Executive Officer and Commander, Signals Research Unit 2, Zweibrücken, Germany, Corps Military Intelligence Detachment Advisor and Combat Assistance Team Commander, supporting Army of Vietnam 1st Battalion, 47th Infantry Regiment, Vietnam, Staff Officer and Commander, 2nd Operations Battalion, U.S. Army Field Station, Augsburg, Germany, Staff Officer for the Assistant Chief of Staff Intelligence and Management Directorate, Office of the Chief of Staff, Army Pentagon from 1979 to 1984, Division Chief, National Security Agency. Boy, that sounds familiar, right? Fort Meade, Maryland, 1984 to 86. Commander, 712th Military Intelligence Battalion, Augsburg, Germany, 86 to 88. Division Chief, National Security Agency again, Fort Meade, Maryland, 88 to 91. Deputy Officer, Chief National Security Agency, Fort Meade, till 92. Colonel Riley also served additional tours in Germany, Vietnam, and Thailand as an enlisted soldier. Now here's the list of awards that this guy has received, and this is why, apart from everything I just said, this is the reason I am most honored to have Colonel Riley on the show today, because he's a hero. This man is a hero, a bona fide hero, and his country has rewarded him as a hero. A country that is being driven down the toilet by the Obama regime awarded this guy a series of medals. And let me see if I can get through these here. He is the recipient of the Silver Star, Bronze Star, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 3 awards, Meritorious Service Medals, Air Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Meritorious Unit Award, Air Force Outstanding Unit Award, Army Good Conduct Medal, that's 2 awards, National Defense Service Medal, 2 awards, Vietnam Service Medal, 5 campaigns, Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, the Army Staff Identification Badge, Parachute Badge, Combat Infantry Badge, and Republic of Vietnam Awards, to include the Cross or Gallantry with Silver Star. I mean, this guy is a hero, folks, and we have been able to reach Colonel Riley for today's show. I'm hoping you're still there, Colonel. Are you still with us?
I'm here, Mike.
All right. Hey, I know that probably may have been tough for you to hear, because people with genuine humility, they have a hard time hearing praise of themselves. Is that true about you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well,
I'm honored to. I'm just honored to be able to to support and serve our nation as I have.
Well, we are truly blessed to have you on the show today, but let's get right into the meat of this here, because, like I said in the introduction, you are a man of character, you are a man of credibility, and you are seeking to replace the current players in the White House, and you've devised a plan of action here, which came to our attention recently. And this includes a Operation American Spring. Did you borrow that from the Arab Spring terminology?
We are, in fact, modeling the Arab Spring, we the people aspect of it. The fact that they, much like we here in America these days, had enough, and they said enough is enough of governments that were penalizing and punishing the people. They rose up over there twice, and the first time they threw out a regime, and so they thought they were getting a democratic regime in the Morsi group, but later found out that one was worse than what they had before.
Right.
So they went back to the streets again. Enough is enough, and they stayed there with the determination to rid themselves of what they had, the Morsi regime, and they were successful. Now, we look at that, and we believe modeling that is appropriate for the United States of America today. We have had enough. Enough is enough of the Obama administration. Those that are in leadership positions right now in the United States do not have the American people in mind. They are violating the United States Constitution. They are insulting at best the Founding Father principles. And America, I believe, has finally recognized that they have simply had enough. And yes, to answer your question, we are modeling, because the Egyptian Spring was successful, and it was an uprising from the people. It wasn't a bunch of politicians, bureaucrats exercising it. It was from the bottom. It was the people who felt they only had one option, and that was to speak for themselves.
All right, now you're an old military guy. I'm looking at the website here. You wrote this article. This is seems to have, even though it's a peaceful, unarmed effort, there seems to be some military precision to this. It's split into 3 phases. And let me just back up here a bit. You've got some assumptions made here. You've written them out. That's very brief. The assumptions are millions of Americans will participate, and hopefully we can help spur that on. American veterans and patriots are energized to end the tyranny, lawlessness, and shredding of the U.S. Constitution. Boy, isn't that the truth? Government is not the target. It is sound. Corrupt and criminal leadership must be removed. That's very well said, by the way. Those in power will not hesitate to use force against unarmed patriots. Now, see, you're kind of playing in there to my assumption as well. I've been saying this for months, that Obama is lashing out against the Assads and all these guys for going out against their own people with military force, because Obama's the head of the U.S. military. You're saying what I've been saying, that Obama would do the exact same thing. He would use his military dogs and put them out against the people. So that's what you're saying here. We'll get into that in a minute. But force against, now you're saying that, okay, he will not hesitate to use force against unarmed patriots exercising their constitutional rights. Patriots may be killed, wounded, incarcerated. There is no hope given today's technology of secrecy for the effort, nor do we want it secret. All right, now that is all very well stated. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's very true, right? But you've split this up into three phases. Phase 1, a field of millions, as many as 10 million. Talk about your goal there.
We believe the only way that we can have our demands considered legitimate is that we have a movement to action that is, well, just overwhelming, if you will. Now, we're not talking here about a protest or a demonstration or a march or getting a bunch of stages and having Hollywood tell us who we are. We know who we are.
Right.
This is a movement to action, and we will mount this tremendous effort to get us there and to open up the doors to get the people that we want out of there. And that includes Obama, Biden, McConnell, Reid, Boehner, Nancy Pelosi, and Attorney General Holder as a start. Now, remember, we have just, this has just been on the books here for, 14 days, something like that.
Okay.
We have a long road to go yet to plan this out.
Yeah.
But right now we're finding tremendous energy out there in America for this. It's just dripping with energy from patriots who have been waiting for something that they can exercise what they believe, and that is that the leadership of the United States today is simply destroying our nation in so many different areas. And once we get phase 1 well underway, and it's not going to be for a day, it's not going to be for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, it's going to be for however long it takes. The bureaucrats and politicians in Washington, D.C. are used to demonstrations and protests, and they look out their windows, over there in those plush offices, and they say, well, look at those, those little peasants out there. There they are again. They're here today and maybe tomorrow, but they go away, and we can get right back to our trough.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to happen now. We're going to be up there in force.
Wow.
And once we get there in force, obviously we're going to have to move into phase 2, and we're going to need another tier. That tier to actually implement this removal has not been developed yet. And we are working on that, and this whole effort is being bathed in prayer because we believe if God is left out of this, it will fail. And we will get the answers because what we're doing is an honorable, noble exercise, and there's no personal agenda on anybody. We're not seeking political support. We're not seeking Hollywood support. We are coming from the grassroots of America, the people who make America great, who actually are the fabric of our nation, the working people, the people who believe in the Founding Father principles. That's exactly who we are and what we're doing, and Phase 1 will consist of millions of us.
Well, you've got friends here for sure. ppsimmons is a grassroots movement founded in Florida, and so we've been calling for this very same thing. And essentially, we're a God and country network. So yeah, we are fully on board with the prayer, and we're fully on board with the constitutional rights of Americans to stand up against tyranny. I forget who said it now. Maybe you know who said it. That resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. I forget who said that now. I used to know. Yeah. So we're into phase 2 here now. You're talking about that you would like 1 million or more people prepared to stay in D.C. as long as it takes. I mean, there's no backing down here. There's no giving up.
That's correct. This is not going to be a cakewalk.
Right.
The last real effort similar to this was our World War I veterans when they went to Washington and were simply petitioning for their just compensation. Well, the government didn't like that and drove them out with the military. So this is not going to be a cakewalk. We have no reason to believe that this is going to happen again, but we are definitely up there to stay. Now we're putting together a plan exactly how this is going to happen. If we end up with 10 million up there on say the 16th and 17th of May, we realize that not 10 million people can stay there. Mm-hmm. That many people work for a living. Contrary to what this Obama administration is trying to turn our nation into a nation of freeloaders.
Right.
We have people that work, but they're going to sacrifice, and they're going to be up there for a day or two. Then it's going to filter down to some number. We would like to see 1 million stay there. Now, we'll have to come up with a plan whereby we can keep that flow going. 1 million people can't stay there for week after week after week after week. They have to get back home. They have to take care of loved ones. They have families. So we're going to come up with a plan where we have a rotation. And we're going to devise that, and it's going to identify people. This is your week. This is next week. For instance, for example, we could go by alphabet. We can say everybody that has a last name beginning with A, this is your week. Those of you who have B, yours is the next week. C, the next week. That's an example. We've got to have some kind of a rotating basis to keep people there for as long as it takes.
So, Colonel Riley, what will these people be doing there while they're there?
They're going to be there simply assembled. We will have negotiators, if you will, although our mission is non-negotiable, basically what we're calling for. But we will have a team that's able to speak, and we will be there, much like the Egyptian Spring. The people were there.
Right.
And the large numbers will start impacting traffic flow. It'll be causing disruption. We don't know exactly what will happen, but it will be the impetus of what we need to move into some type of process that accomplishes the removal of these people.
When you say these people, your website's naming names here, Colonel. It says, as long as it takes to see Obama, Biden, Reid, McConnell, Boehner. Boehner's a Republican, by the way, so you're not making this a party issue, are you?
Absolutely not.
No.
We're talking about leadership.
Right.
That is failing to step up, failing to abide by the Constitution. They say one thing, do another thing. The Obama administration, they decide which laws they want to support, and it doesn't matter the fact that there's a law on the books. They pick and choose. The examples of this Obamacare thing, it's a total failure. Nobody wants it, really. Only the people with their hands out. That's the ones that really want it. That won't work, won't do what our founding fathers expected. But basically, it'll be a tough road. And we're going to go up there. People will have backpacks. They'll have water in their backpacks. They'll have dried food in their backpacks. We will make it work.
Well, and so you say Boehner, you include Boehner, Pelosi, the Attorney General also, he's got to go. And we're on board with that as well. In fact, he may have to go in handcuffs, that guy. I mean, he's guilty. We think he's maybe guilty of some crimes here. We won't get into that today. The senior Republican of the U.S. House of Representatives becomes Speaker of the House. And the U.S. House of Representatives will elect a temporary president and vice president of the United States. So you've got this pretty well planned out. I mean, if this could happen today, we would have new governing heads of the state here. The U.S. Senate will take action to elect a new majority and minority leader. As required, the U.S. Congress will execute appropriate legislation to convene new elections, or U.S. states will appoint replacements for positions vacated consistent with established constitutional requirements. So that's phase two. People got to go. More reliable, more trustworthy people have to come back in. Phase three gets into that now. You're naming names here again. Those with the principles of West, Cruz, Dr. Carson, Lee, DeMint, Paul, Governor Walker, Sessions, Gowdy, Jordan, Issa will comprise a tribunal and assume positions of authority to convene investigations, recommend appropriate charges against politicians, that'd be a long list, and government employees to the new U.S. Attorney General appointed by the new president. I like all this talk here, Colonel, about new presidents and new head, new people. And you're saying at the end here, all actions in phase 2 and 3 will be consistent with the U.S. Constitution. How so?
That is, what will have to be worked out. The people that are in office right now basically are destroying the nation. They are failing to abide by the Constitution. The issues that are going on and failure to deal with such things as the Fast and Furious, the Benghazi thing, all the other actions are just beyond belief. And what we're saying here, I mean, it just sounds almost like it's impossible as to what our phases and the way we're describing them here. But it is absolutely that serious. We either have to do something or we're going to totally lose the United States of America that we've known for over 230 years. And too much blood, body parts, family destruction have been sacrificed, and we just cannot tolerate it. Now, down there in phase 3, where we're talking about individuals, we're really not. We're talking about principles that these individuals communicate. These individuals reflect strong constitutional grounding. That is exactly what we need in the new leadership. Now, whoever that is will have a tremendous challenge, a tremendous task to straighten out the damage that this Obama administration has caused primarily, although some of it goes back to some of the other administrations that have put us on this sort of a slippery slope into where we are today. Mm-hmm. Because we simply have not stood by the Constitution. We've made exceptions and said, well, you know, maybe this is not so bad, or we'll sacrifice a little bit of freedom for this, mm-hmm. and we're where we are. So it's a difficult challenge, and I'm saying we don't have all the leaders, all the answers right now, but we have got to start, and we've got to make it known that we're in such a terrible condition. We really have no choice. We can either rise up or we can surrender. And I won't. You know, I'll go on my knees before the Lord, but I won't before a tyrant such as Barack Obama. Right. I'd rather stand and die than do that.
Well, and you're saying that this will all begin May 16th. Operation American Spring. There is no end date put here because, like you say, it doesn't end until the tyrants have left office and some of them placed up before tribunals and charged with crimes against the state here. You know, we are friends with Sheriff Joe Arpaio and Mike Zullo, and they have a tremendous amount of evidence that Barack Obama is not eligible to serve as president of the United States. We're waiting for any day now for breaking news on that front. But what we do know is that he is definitely not eligible to even be president, which is why I think the Lord is raising up people like yourself to get him out, because he's a fraud. And you know, that is our take on that. And Eric,
I couldn't agree with you more there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I could not agree with you more, because many of us were screaming to high heaven in 2008 when he was even a candidate. It surely didn't take a rocket scientist to look through him and see what he was, and ask, who is this guy?
Right.
We didn't know anything about him, and still don't.
And we still don't.
Except for the investigations, like you said, of Sheriff Arpaio and others who have clearly documented that there's no way he is qualified in accordance with the Constitution to serve as in the office of president. Well, listen,
Colonel Riley, it's been an awesome pleasure to talk with you. This is all in its infancy stages. And we look forward to seeing this progress into something that, unlike anything America has ever seen, as far as standing up for the Constitution is the framework for the country. Without it, the country will collapse like a poorly built house of cards, because the Constitution is the recipe for a country, and the United States just happens to be the greatest country that's ever been. And the world has seen the greatest prosperity that it has ever seen due to the freedom efforts of the United States of America. And if you doubt that, then you need a solid history lesson, folks. I mean, I live up here in Canada, and Canada, 80% of the Canadian population lives within 100 miles of the U.S. border, and it's not just for the weather. It's because the American dollar feeds the world, and Canada is in bad shape financially. I'm the Canadian correspondent, but most of our operations take place in the United States of America, and the Americans are hurting bad, and so is the rest of the world. So we've got to get behind this colonel's effort. This guy's got a lot of credibility. We've all been praying for someone with credibility, with clout, and this colonel is a godly man, and it's time to rise up. ppsimmons is in full support of you, Colonel, and I just want to thank you for taking the time today, and I look forward to hopefully getting you back on as things progress here. I suspect you're going to get busy here very soon, if you're not already.
We are, and I want to make clear that I am just a small link in this. We have general officers who are expressing support, and some of them are open along the same lines that we are, demanding that this administration go. And one of them that's the strongest, who's willing to step out and stand for exactly what we need is General Paul Valley.
Oh, yes.
And we see a exponential energy, people coming out and joining us, and we're going to lock arms, we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to do what we believe God is leading us to do and what the United States Constitution demands.
Well, it's time for change. It's time for regime change in America. And hey, you know what? This may be an answer to the prayers of millions of Americans and millions of people around the world, myself included. So get on board with this, folks. We'll put all of the contact information for Colonel Riley in the description on this video. Do you have anything else? Close it out for us here, Colonel.
Well, I hope everyone understands that this is a bold effort, and it came about. It just happened because people are so longing for the freedom and liberty that our founding fathers gave us. And there's fear out there that we're so near losing it that they're willing to do just about anything to reverse it.
Colonel Harry Riley, everybody. Man, these are exciting times. Get on board with this guy. We'll talk to you guys next time.